Don in London, hello. It's July 30th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. July 31st, another month over, and another month in recovery, one day at a time. My videos are all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, and my addictive substance was alcohol. Alcoholic in recovery, one day at a time. And to substances, could have been anything else. It just didn't happen to me, but it could have happened to me, and I guess my slide into addiction would have been faster. But equally, behaviour around people, places and things, quite addictive. Right people, right place, right things, wanting the right things, needing the right things, trying to fit in, trying to be perfect and never so, and setting an impossible standard for myself, which was to work hard, drink hard, and expect I could keep on doing that to the end of time, or my time. All I know is these days, drink diverted me from my purpose, my usefulness, to me and others, and it took me away from the interests I had at heart. And why was that? Well, finance and romance, I guess, came into it. Finance, needing to be reasonably well off, also trying to find the right girl to be with, start a family, and all the things that, what normal people do. Whatever normal is these days, I haven't got a clue. I only know what's normal for me, and I have to ask myself on a daily basis, because of this emotional and spiritual program I follow, how am I feeling, why, and what can I do? So how am I feeling? Good. Why? Because spiritually I'm able to cope with the moment of now, live in reality. So what is this emotional spiritual program I follow? Well, it comes from the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's not about religion, it's not about affiliation, it's not about faith as such when it comes to affiliation to religious orders. It's simply about emotional and spiritual well-being, being able to feel right, knowing what's going on, and cope with the reality of now. So it took me a long time to get my understanding of that, because I wanted to make it more complicated. I wanted to be an analyst of my emotions in a way which was scientific, and understand what spiritual was, this spiritual life, that is, the ability to cope with what's going on. And I could make it very complicated, because I wanted to find out what is the behaviour and what's making me do these things. So I sort of had to give that up. The more I thought about it, the less I was doing something. So living and doing life, well, maybe not so much the doing of life, but the being in life, being myself and finding out who I am. So AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, has helped me find out who I am on a daily basis and be myself. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will, but I share about it simply because it's helped me find sobriety and live as best I can, with some contentment and serenity about what is going on, understanding what I can and cannot do on a daily basis. So I share from the literature of AA unashamedly, because I'm a fellow in the fellowship, and I also share what how AA works on a daily basis, because the fellowship only works for today. That's all there is. It only works for today, and we get our experience, strength and hope of how to live from it, so we can get on with a free life, free to make choices based on life situations as they are. So it's not going to give you the earth, but it might give you back your sanity. So what is AA? I share it from this little card, so I don't recite it. If I recite it, it means I'm just saying it, not feeling it. So yes, that's how it works for me, to feel what's going on, in touch with my feelings, so my thinking can be understood, the context of my thinking. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Somebody asked me today, would I be able to help someone with a few months sober? Actually, a few months sober is a magnificent success, bearing in mind they're doing it one day at a time. And I said yes, and I've probably got contacts who may be able to help. But the point is, if I'm not right for a person, there are probably 1,000 who are. So the reason why fellowship is important, it's the many voices in the fellowship which give us our experience, strength and hope, and the wisdom of what it is to be sober. So it's not just my voice you need to hear. In fact, put my voice to one side, go to a meeting, find out what it's like in reality. What you see is what you get. So if what you see is what you get and you like it, it's got an attraction. But if you don't like it, because you hate the idea of giving up drink, or for whatever other reason you might not like the people on that day, try another meeting on another day. Because we find those people with the right voice in the fellowship often to set us on our way to emotional and spiritual well-being. Knowing our feelings and that they fit, and we are able to cope with the reality of our situation. Emotional, feelings, spiritual, living in the moment. And for some, spiritual means much, much more in the context of their particular faith. So we don't knock any, we're not allied to anything, but you keep you keep what is yours and live and make good use of what you know works for you. So it's not about joining in and belonging in a way which makes you change your mind about your faith. Indeed, the very opposite. We encourage people to be themselves, and then we are attracted to the sobriety that they have, but not necessarily anything else, all the affiliations that people have. So we keep our affiliations, but AA is only about sobriety. And if it were about something else, then people wouldn't get sober, because you'd have to join and change something which you may not want to change, a fundamental part of who you are. I had a great day yesterday. I got to a meeting of AA. Before I got there, what I like to do is take photographs. And I was going past Chelsea Town Hall, the old town hall, where the registry office is, and weddings occur very often, all the time. And one had just finished, and on the steps was a wedding group, and I stopped to take a photograph because I just like taking photos. And I was asked if I wouldn't mind taking some photos for the group with their cameras. I said of course, and then I said at the end, would you mind if I just took a couple for myself? And they obliged. So standing midway in the road part of the time, I asked them to wave and shake their hands and laugh and just enjoy themselves rather than stand there as if they're very straight and all the rest of it. And they did. So I was able to share those, and it just made me happy. But then I went to a midday meeting down in what was a scout hut. It's now called the Hut. It serves many purposes, and one is AA meetings quite regularly through the week. And yesterday the meeting was all about Tradition 7, which is about the money aspect of AA. And this is what it says: every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. So in other words, being self-supporting means we as a group pay for the rent, tea, coffee and literature of that meeting, and normally we have just enough, and that's the message really around Tradition 7. Enough is enough. If we had more money than we needed, it would become a source of controversy. So enough money in life seems to be right for me. It will never be enough, obviously, but enough, my needs met as best they can be, my wants are less important or forgotten. So this tradition 7 is vital to me, to understand that in the past finance was another addiction, either spending or accumulating, as is romance, being with the right girl in the right place at the right time. And I didn't really understand what I was about back then. I just tried to look right, but these days I try to be as right as I can be, not in being right factually, but just feeling right about life. So the miracle for me is I wake up every day, ask myself, how am I feeling? If I'm feeling okay and good, and I can manage my current life situation, I have emotional and spiritual connection to now. And that can change at any time. I'm human, so I can experience joy, and much of the opposite, sadness or anger and resentment. We work on these on a daily basis, so we simply make progress. And progress is it for me. Just simple progress, one day at a time. And trying not to let anything sort of run into the next day, which can make me feel upset about what is going on. So as we process life on life's terms, living life on life's terms, we live it, we feel it, and we experience it. Our feelings fit the moment of now. What more could I ask for? Well, I could ask to win the lottery, but unfortunately that has not happened. Anyway, the AA Daily Reflection for today is all about the Serenity Prayer, which I share at the end of this video normally. And I got my days mixed up yesterday, so you may hear this a bit of twice over. But it doesn't hurt, especially when it comes to the Serenity Prayer. Regardless of whether you're atheist, agnostic or believer, it works. It simply works to keep us straight in our minds about what life can and cannot be. So the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous Daily Reflection, who I do not represent, I make that clear emphatically, it's the many voices that are needed for recovery. AA Daily Reflection, a prayer for all seasons. This is for July 31st in the book, if you want to look it up. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The power of this prayer is overwhelming in that its simple beauty parallels the AA fellowship. There are times when I get stuck while reciting it, and that's me, I do. But if I examine the section which is troubling me, I find the answer to my problem. The first time this happened I was scared, but now I use it as a valuable tool. By accepting life as it is, I gain serenity. That's accepting life on life's terms. I gain serenity. By taking action, I gain courage, and I thank God, or a higher power, which for me is the universe, for the ability to distinguish between those situations I can work on and those I must turn over. All that I have now is a gift from God. My life, my usefulness, my contentment, and this program. The serenity enables me to continue walking forwards. Alcoholics Anonymous is the easier, softer way. Or any Anonymous can be the easier, softer way, depending on your inclination to join in and find out. I haven't found a better way to stay stuck in sober living, but I have found many ways to stay stuck in old ways of feeling and thinking, feeling the world is against me and thinking it's up to me to change the world. So it's the very opposite now. How do I feel about this situation leads me into more sober thinking, knowing what I feel about it. Am I level with life, or am I over the top or underplaying things? So I can establish how to think about it, or how I am thinking about it, and then to deal with reality. So my thoughts this morning, or my feelings this morning, emotional and spiritual progress is one day at a time. No pass or fail, we learn with humility, and learning and humility are sort of hand in hand. If we don't feel upset at having to keep on learning maybe the same things over and over again, what it is to be sober, we don't get angry about it. We can get frustrated and feel hot and bothered and sweaty when we're trying to learn something new. That's just the way it is. But we do gain confidence, faith and courage to keep on trying if we keep our humility, that it's okay to learn. Emotionally, how am I feeling right now? Good. Why? Spiritually, I am able to cope with reality in the moment of now. So right now is all right, but I can't see how it's going to be later. It's going to be a nice warm day actually. The sun is shining, but we are getting cloud later. Another year for me. A prayer for all seasons and time. A meditation in moments where life is joyful or sad, difficult or easy. The Serenity Prayer offers a reminder in any moment that life is just the way it may be right now. That we can change some elements, other elements we cannot, and wisdom is to know the difference. And it's the can do, can't do, and wisdom to know the difference, which saves me from pain of trying to control, manipulate, or make it my way. I just need to see what my choices are in the moment of now, and then decide. And if I can't work it out, phone a friend. Acceptance of truth, love and wisdom of others. This is the higher power for me. Truth, love and wisdom of others. Because I have opinion, but not necessarily truth. So I might think things are as I see them, but often they're not, because when I ask other people, they see it differently. So we work it out together. In good conscience or to God of your understanding, God grants us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So rather than that's working together, where I've put we instead of I. The prayer and meditation for me, a reflection of and feeling the truth of now, and not wishful thinking, which is opinion of and belief, and often, as is often the case in me. My opinion and belief drives me to suggest to others that this is the truth, and if I'm helpful and ask for a challenge, I probably find out that I only have opinion and belief, and the truth is far bigger than me. A better perspective on serenity. The truth is as it really can be, wonderful, difficult, denied or accepted. As truth is revealed and experienced by us, our feelings change, our thinking changes. With a more sober outlook and maturity, we face the consequences of our actions, because there are always consequences from the past, from what we've done, and the actions that we are doing today, or the way we are being today. There will be consequences. We feel, we think, we respond as we may to truth. So it's all about learning, really. And I learned the hard way. That is, if you keep on doing something over and over again, which is hurting us or hurting me, like drink, fixing my feelings, fixing my outlook, fixing the need for sleep, and in the end just fixing away. Oblivion preferred, knocking myself out with drink, to sleep, and then in the final days never wanting to wake up, that 24/7 agony where the body is rejecting everything you put in it, the body cannot cope, and our heads are just saying, please, please, I want to end this. So from being there a few years ago, I realised one day at a time is the key. And it wasn't me who found it out. It's been known for thousands of years. Most people, or a lot of people, just live one day at a time. Know how to enjoy and not enjoy as life is. So I've joined the human race again, I hope. But it's not a race. We work at the pace we can work at, and sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly we get there, to a place where our feelings fit the moment of now. And that peace and serenity, obviously I experienced it over the years, even when drinking. That I always had a feeling, a nagging feeling of fear that it wasn't going to work out. And I guess if we have that nagging fear that it may not work out, we strive even more. overwhelming ourselves and other people around us often, which is why I'm not married with kids. But that's just me, and it's too late, so I accept that. Well, people say it's never too late, but the point is, yeah, we go on forever about that one. But I'm just illustrating how it can be. Life on life's terms, live with, love as we can, with humility and with care for other people, not undermining them, not using them, not fixing with them. There is no gap inside these days. I've got too much to do, and I never have enough time. So I'm glad that life is like that. But I deal with 3 chronic conditions, and there was a good example of that yesterday, where 3 of us more elderly people, although we're not that elderly, have things we have to deal with on a daily basis beyond just being sober. So outside help is needed when it's not about sober. Can do, can't do. The 12 steps of AA fellowship help us get emotionally and spiritually well, so we are aware of the other issues we have in life and that we need address them as best we can, professionally, medically, or however, according to whatever it is. Faith as well. So, coming back to the end of my video, the serenity prayer, the can do, can't do. What I can do today is change my attitude and behaviour. What I cannot do is impose my attitudes and behaviour on other people. They have their own outlook. So it's about inclusion, getting on with, being a part of reality. And that wisdom comes every day. You can't use yesterday's wisdom on a new situation today unless it is broad enough to say, emotionally, how am I feeling? Spiritually, am I in the moment, or am I thinking about ahead, or not wanting to be where I am? And that's where the freedom of choice comes in. The consequences follow, of course, in all those decision-making processes. So, greatest flexibility has been achieved by finding sobriety. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be any good at all the rest of life. I need to keep on learning it, a day at a time. And that's where humility is the underlying foundation of just about everything human beings do. We just need to keep being flexible, learning, and knowing it's okay not to know. I'm saying, when I don't know, I just don't know. But maybe somebody can help me find out. Or if no one can, phone a friend, do what you need to do. We don't need to work it out on our own. All we need to do is be ourselves, sober. So to God, or a higher power of your understanding, or simply a meditation, the serenity prayer, is what works for me in any moment, any day, wherever. A prayer for all seasons. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Always in the moment and just for today.